think that we have mostly ladies here. So the ladies' room is right down the hallway there. It is open. The men's room is closed. It's having construction done right now. There is a public restroom on the second floor. If you take the elevator up, it's to the left. So wanted to let everybody know that. And also, you probably noticed our volunteers here from cable TV. We're going to be having this filmed through the Peters Township cable television, and it's going to be available through their Channel 7. So if you want more information about scheduling for the program, you can go to their website and see when it's going to air. Okay, on to our presentation. I first met Jill a few years ago. She came and did a workshop for municipal employees, and I wasn't going to go because I thought, well, you know, I'm really organized, so I don't think I need this. And went anyway and realized, oh my gosh, there's so much work I have to do. I think it's just, there's so many things that we see over and over again that we get used to it and maybe not realize that the work that needs to be done. And Jill is the CPPO, Senior Move Manager, Founder, and President of Discover Organizing. Jill has been organizing professionally since 2003. Her prior experience in social work and executive level human resource management has uniquely qualified her to work with individuals that require resources, compassion, and experienced guidance to overcome their organizing challenges and create a simple life. And today, she will be sharing decluttering and organizing tips with all of us. So please welcome Joe Yesko.
Hi everybody. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Before I get kind of rolling on this presentation, I just wanted to take 1 second, or maybe a minute, and just let you know I'm kind of nothing without these guys back here. We have a large team of professional organizers that work with, I can't do everything myself. We have a really nice group, and the nice thing about this group is that after the presentation, these 3 major categories that I'm going to be talking about, which is organizing, a little bit of downsizing, a little bit of photo organizing, tiny bit of photo organizing. If you guys could hold up your signs. Their professional organizers are going to be placed in the back of the room, so after the presentation, if you have specific questions about organizing, downsizing, or photo organizing, like memorabilia organizing, anything very specific, this is what they specifically do every day. So that might help you. So one at a time, I'm just going to introduce them, and then they're going to go take their places, and I'm going to start talking. First person is Sandy Pitchman. She's going to come around. She's a professional organizer. She's celebrating 2 years with us today at Discover Organizing. And she actually has a lot of education in chronic disorganization, hoarding, and regular, everyday organizing challenges. And Carrie Donato is a Senior Move Manager. Also been with us a little over 2 years, 2 years and 3 months, and she has a lot of specialties. She is about to be certified as a Senior Move Manager. She has 1 more test to take. She's got 8 tests, I think they gave her, maybe 9. So she's been working hard on that, but she is your go-to person for downsizing and transition questions. And then finally we've got Ashley Early. She has been working with us as a residential organizer, but also has been specializing for the last 6 months, whether she liked it or not, in our photo department. And she's learned a lot about scanning, digitization, memorabilia, and all sorts of neat photo tricks that you may need to compile and consolidate your lifelong memory books or memories that you have in your home. She's an expert. Okay, thank you. And then these 2 in the peanut gallery back here, Jan Blayhead is our marketing director. She's been with us for 13 years. And Nathan might bear a striking resemblance to me because he's my son. But he's also our chief information officer. He's 26. He's been with me since he was 15. So he has a little bit of experience as well. He does a lot of our tech training for our older adults that we work with, that we move and transition. They end up with a lot of new technology that they're not used to. So when we move them in, Nathan goes over and he makes sure they're really comfortable with their new setup. So that's one of the major things that he does, besides make all of this stuff look really good. All the brochures he did that you have. So thank you very much, everybody. If you have any questions for, again, Sandy, Carey, or Ashley afterwards, and you can certainly talk to me as well. I just want to make sure that your questions are addressed. Whew, that was a lot. So today, I kind of have a big mission, is to help everyone in this room get organized. And that's kind of a big task, because the reason you're sitting here is because a part of you has decided you want something to be different. You want something to be better, whether it's your home environment, you want to be on time, you are thinking about downsizing, thinking about moving, and your house is nowhere near ready. And I get that, and I just moved this year or this past year, and I thought, I'm a professional organizer, I know what I'm doing, this shouldn't take long at all, until I hit the memorabilia room. Okay, and I had to sift through photo albums and framed things that I had promised years ago that I was going to get scanned or do something with someday, and I just didn't. And I was faced with my own procrastination on some of that stuff, so I get it. And none of us that work at Discover Organizing are perfect, but we try really hard with best practices of organizing in our own lives as well as with our clients. So we want to get you organized, and the reason I say for good, it has a twofold message. One, for good meaning permanently organized, and the second one is a lot of the times when we are donating and we're giving to people and we're recycling, we're doing good. So keep that in the back of your minds when you're paring down your home, is that there is someone always out there that needs that thing. eBay proved that in I don't even know what decade it was, because I can't say the 90s. I guess I would just say the first decade of this country. We learned that people wanted used stuff, and they would pay a premium for it. And then we had online auctioneers emerge, and eBay sellers, and all these people came forward to help you sell your stuff, and they're still out there, and I'm going to talk about that today. So the very first thing that we're doing is we're making a plan, because there's 3 steps. Preparing, when you prepare to downsize or declutter or get organized or whatever you're going to do, you always need a plan. You know, has anyone here ever had any home improvement done to their house? Have you interviewed contractors, general contractors? Some of them show up, some of them don't. And you have a notebook, and you're going to take notes of what they say, and they hand you a folder, and it's got all their stuff in it, you know, their glossy stuff, the nice brochures, and you maybe want to get 2 to 3 bids on whatever that home improvement project is. You make a plan. You're like, this is what I want. I want the roof to be like this, and I want it to last this long, and I want it to be maybe this color, but I just want it to work and keep my house dry. And you maybe write down all this stuff. I want you to treat this like that. Okay, I want you to treat this is a serious investment of your time. And if you hire help, it's an investment of your money. So this is your time that you're not used to taking and spending. So you have to act like this is a brand new project. And if you can act like this is a brand new project and really get organized in your thought process before you get started, that's huge. So what I ask most of my clients to do is to really tell me what room is driving them crazy the most. And some people say, it's the whole house. What are you talking about a room? I get the whole house. And I'm like, well, where do you spend most of your time that you're looking at it? And so we kind of prioritize. And that's a very important part of organizing, by the way, is prioritization. You get into prioritization, time management, project management. When you start this project, you got to say to yourself, which area would give me the most peace first? And sometimes I push back on that. Sometimes I'll say, I know that you really want your bedroom, because it's your sanctuary, and that's very important. You want that decluttered, and you want it to feel serene. And I'm with you. But I want to make space first for all the stuff that's got to come down from that second floor or wherever. If you live in a ranch, we got to get it. We got to make room for the stuff that you're deciding is not going to be in your active sleeping space or living space. So where do I go first? I go to a garage. I go to a bigger closet. I go to a basement. I go to these bigger spaces that we can really tackle first so that I can make room for all of your decisions that are going to come down into that space. Because what happens, right, when we start decluttering and making decisions about stuff we don't want anymore, we then have nowhere to put it. And now we have more piles on top of the piles that were already there. So I don't want that to happen. So sometimes we have to clear some space first. So that's really the only reason I would push against your priority plan. But if we can compromise, I will always compromise. So gathering your tools and supplies. I love Sharpies. I'm not gonna lie. They're my favorite tool because they can mark up boxes, they can make labels. When we're packing, we use little codes when we pack on our packing paper with the Sharpies. They're just a wonderful tool, and I like the very, very, very fat ones because I am older and I can't see the thin ones anymore, and I need very big print on everything, because if I'm going to go back and I'm going to find something, I want to be able to find it. Because the only reason, and this is probably something you should write down, it's not on the slide, the only reason you put something away is so that you can retrieve it again. Otherwise, don't put it away. Just get rid of it. Because if you're not going to go back and get it, I don't care how beautiful your shelf space is, you go, oh, I put it there because I have space. I put it there because I have room. And a lot of Peter's families that I've worked with, their basements were full, and they said, you know what, Joe? I put it down here because I could. I had the space. It was a beautiful basement. And when my kids stopped playing in it, I just started taking stuff down that I didn't want to look at anymore, that I said I was going to deal with later, but I felt guilty about getting rid of because it was my mom's or my aunt's or my sister's or my cousin's or my husband who passed away. It's his stuff, but I can't get rid of it yet. Okay, we'll deal with it. We'll go there. But I get it. I know why it went down there, and we're going to slowly, and I'm going to teach you how to tackle that basement in a second. Cardboard boxes, trash bags, paper grocery bags, clear plastic bins, clean rags, and water, because we all know we find stuff under stuff, and then we find dust under stuff, and then we want to use that shelf. I don't want you running upstairs to go get a rag with water and a cleanser, because what happens when you go upstairs to get the rag and the water and the cleanser, you maybe don't come back down. It's very possible that you will not come back down because maybe you want to drink the water and then you realize that your Brita filter pitcher and the refrigerator needs to be refilled. So you go ahead and refill it, and then you realize that you haven't changed the filter in the Brita filter pitcher in about 6 months, and you know you're supposed to change it every 3, so then you make a note to buy a new filter. You know what, might as well just go now and get it. Just might as well go to Bed Bath & Beyond and get it now. Where's my coupon? Let me go look for my coupon. I'm gonna look for my coupon. But maybe they have that in-store program where you get, it's like a program on my app. Maybe it's on my app. I'll just look on my phone, and then I'll do that. Oh, I got a message from Kathy. Oh, maybe I'll just see what she's doing. Maybe we'll have lunch and go to Bed Bath & Beyond. I can do this basement another time. So that's what happens. I get that. That has also happened to me. Okay. You see I wrote notebook down to always have with you, because when you start getting rid of things and you start, saying, I'm done with these things, or I have this thought about this, I wonder if my sister Susan wants this, write it down. Write down your donations, because you're going to have to write them down anyway. And you're going to be mad at yourself if you don't record the donations so that you can value them. Okay? And I have some information about the IRS in this as well, and about charitable charitable donations. So keep your notebook handy. You may want to start a little caddy for all your organizing supplies. Have a roll of trash bags for all your donations of clothes, plastic bins. If you could just have 1 or 2, they really help just for your keep items, and they're great sorting tools. So keep that in mind. Also, scheduling the time. This is the 3rd step for your prep. Scheduling the time is critical. It's making an appointment with yourself. If you don't schedule the time, you won't show up. The best part about scheduling the time is that if you tell that another person that you're doing this on this date, even if they're not there, they'll check in with you and say, how's it going? My best friend will check in with me. She'll say, how are you feeling? How's it going? Because I keep her up to date. And I say, hey, I'm doing this. My stomach hurts. I don't feel good. I don't want to do this today. But an hour later, she's going to say, you feeling any better? How's it going? She's going to text me. She's going to check on me. And if I say, I'm writing a couple chapters in this book today, she'll text me and say, how's it going? How's the writing going? I shouldn't have told her I was doing that today, because it's an accountability thing. So if you check in with someone, you know, and some especially, I don't know, that you know is going to check back with you, that might help you, actually. It might help you if you have somebody that knows kind of what your whereabouts are and what you're doing. Otherwise, you can have a friend come and help you. Just make sure it's a very non-judgmental, loving friend that's patient. So this might just have eliminated some of your friends right now just saying that if they're patient and not judgmental, or they don't want to, you don't want to be pushed through a decision. One of the worst things you can do is have someone come over and say, get rid of it. Just get rid of it. You don't need this. Why do you still have this? This isn't okay. Do you know how old this is? You know, when you put this on, are you putting on a shirt or are you putting on a rag? Like, why are you wearing this? And you're like, oh my God, I'm a terrible person. You don't want that person. You want the person to say, how do you feel about that? When was the last time you wore that? Did you feel good in it? Did you feel handsome in it? Did you feel pretty in it? What did you feel when you put that on? You're just keeping it to keep it. And have those conversations with someone that's kind and patient and can walk through that process with you gently. That's what you want. And I know you know people that are out there that are like that. I always say start out with 3 sessions on your calendar. Whether you're hiring us or you're doing it yourself, I always say get 3 on the books. My staff will all sit there and go, oh God, she says that all the time. But I always say get 3 on the books before you leave, because then you know you've committed to 3 sessions with yourself, even if it's 2-hour sessions, 3-hour sessions, 4. You know, I don't know what your bandwidths are, each of you. Some clients I can only work with for 2 hours. We have clients that have severe ADHD, and I'm not going to push that person past 2 hours. That's not going to work. That's not going to be a successful session. But if you know you can tolerate 4 hours, then put that on the schedule. If you need to quit early, great, but at least you showed up for at least the first 2 hours, 3 hours before the distractions came in. So this is very important. If you have a large area to tackle, please don't try it alone. Especially for any, can I have a show of hands who has attics in here? Okay, a lot of you have attics, okay. A show of hands, how much of you love going up in your attics on a ladder? Okay, so it was just me then, okay. So that's like a non-safe thing to do alone. We always, as professional as we are, we always have 2 people, one to go up and one to stand and hold the ladder and make sure that we're being safe. We always make sure we bring our own lights when we do attics, because attics are notoriously dark and scary, dusty, and full of, I don't know, mysterious things that are a little bit difficult to deal with sometimes. So always have a second person if you're working with any addicts, is my tip on that. And give everybody a job. When I organized, I had to downsize my grandmother. She was 97, she just passed away. But she moved from her home to, finally at 95, she decided it was time to downsize. And she had 16 kids, so I had lots of helpers. They're all older than me. I have an uncle, I'm 50 and my uncle is 51, so my mom was having kids at the same time as my grandmother, because I have an older sister. And so I had plenty of help. But I didn't necessarily want all that kind of help, because then you have too many cooks in the kitchen. Anybody ever experienced your help that's come over to maybe help you pack, and you're like, oh my God, why did I do this? So I kind of handpicked my aunts and cousins that I knew would be good team players, and they all kind of reported for duty, and they said, okay, what do you want me to do? And I gave them each a job, but I thought about it first, which is why you have your notebooks. So you can start assigning out who'd be really good at making trips to the Goodwill for me. Okay, Bob, that's good. I'll put Bob in charge of that. And just start thinking about your team. my big thing, I always say, if you don't love it or use it, it's clutter. It's just clutter. And I never talk about clutter as it becomes something about your possessions, because I value you and your possessions, so I never talk or downgrade what you own. But when you tell me you don't love it or use it anymore, then I know you've stopped caring about it, especially when I see it in the basement and it's behind something else, you stopped using it. And that just tells me either we have to reevaluate this, or we have to say, you know, maybe someone else could enjoy that bread maker that you got for your wedding, and you thought you were going to make bread forever, and you used it once and the yeast blew up, and then maybe I'm just talking personally, but that I never used it again after that, and I really thought I'm going to, as soon as my kids grow up, I'm going to bake bread. I'm going to have time. Yeah, he's 26 and Mary's 24, and I think the last time I pulled it out, they were 11 and 9. So that was that. I want to address hoarding very quickly, because a lot of people always ask me, what is hoarding? Am I a hoarder? Jill, am I a hoarder? Is this the worst you've seen? I know we have a lot of nodding in the back from my team who are going, that is the primary question that is asked. Is this the worst you've seen? Tell me the truth. And every house is different. There's a lot of reasons why people collect. Lots and lots of reasons that we can't get into today, but I am going to address what hoarding is. And I'm also going to tell you what it isn't, because when that person said, am I a hoarder? And I said, well, we spent the last 4 hours making 17 bags for donation and 5 bags for your sister, and then we have 2 boxes going to the auctioneer. I would dare say that you are not suffering from hoarding disorder, because it is very difficult for someone to part with something if they are hoarding, no matter what it is. And I have seen some people with disabilities in wheelchairs and also with limited physical mobility that look like hoarders, because they have a lot of stuff on counters. They have a lot of stuff maybe in what I call a nest, which is the stuff surrounding a recliner or any type of like dining room chair situation where there are things on the dining room table, but then they have things on the chairs as well. People go, oh, I'm a hoarder, all right. I'm like, no, you can't reach cabinets, and it's very hard for you to bend down to get other things. I think if we changed the way your house is arranged, you could probably stay here another 10 years. Let me get at it. Let me get to the stuff with you, and let's create workstations for you. Let's create cooking stations for you. Let's do a little bit of minor construction in your home, minor, teensy construction, and help you age at home better, or just be at home better. So I think sometimes people think, I have a lot of stuff, I am a hoarder. I'm going to show you what hoarding, or I'm going to explain what it is, and I'm going to show you what it is. There's just four basics. There's 400 others, but 4 basics. Excessive, requiring failure to discard, and I mean just about anything. It's very hard to let go. And when your living space becomes unusable, if there is a, we call them goat paths in our industry, where there's a very tiny, tiny place to walk upstairs, a very tiny, tiny place to navigate to kitchens and bathrooms. I've worked in homes where bathrooms are completely unusable because they have used the tub as a storage container, and then they've started putting things on top of the toilet, and then to the right and left of the toilet, so that makes it unusable. I have, my team and I have worked in homes where, the home has basically been abandoned because of the clutter, because it kind of literally pushed the person out, and the person is now living in a community. There's still stuff to deal with. So it became unusable. She had to move. I've cleaned up when someone has passed away, been buried in clutter, literally. And our team and I were just on a Hoarders television show. It airs, I think, in May. 5 feet of clutter that she belly crawled over to go in and out of her different rooms of her home, but she basically lived from the 5 foot, I'm 5 feet, so 5 foot, and it was 8 foot ceiling, so she had 3 feet of crawling, and that's how she navigated her home to get what she needed. You will see this on television. but she's basically living in her car because there was no, in the driveway outside of the home. So just if you're concerned that you're hoarding, certainly talk to Sandy. She's the one with the dark hair in the back there. Or you can talk to me afterwards, and there's certainly a lot of resources in Pittsburgh that we can direct you to. Also significant distress or functional impairment. These are things, if you love a hoarder, if you love someone that has hoarding disorder, these are very important things that you should not do that I know that people do all the time. When they go out shopping or they go to a doctor's appointment, do not remove the items from their home, from the space. They will know. They will know. And they will be very upset with you because they know where everything is. You think, how would you possibly know what's in this pile? It's been here 30 years. How do you know? They know. They know. Get into a power struggle. It's not worth it. I promise you. Don't try to get them to see their point of view. This is a diagnosed mental illness. This is in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. It is covered by insurances. It is considered a mental health disorder and as a brain-based disorder. And when it is comorbid or conjoined with ADHD, depression, anything like that, it's very serious. And it's very hard to manage if you're not a clinical person. And the last thing you should try not to do is make sure that you tell them it doesn't have any value. Like, this is a pen. Why are you keeping a pen? That's not good. Because to them that pen has value. So just some tips if you know somebody. This is me sorting out a hoard in Carnegie, and two of your friends that you've just met are standing in their beautiful Tyvek suits that they feel like the marshmallow men wearing, but it keeps them from getting completely dirty. But we work with a lot of different I would say hauling companies. I don't keep saying trash companies, but hauling companies. We work with John King, and we work with GI Hall. And GI Hall was on the show with us. Really enjoyed working with them, as well as John King. They're both very, if you need a lot of stuff taken away, if you're doing a big cleanup, I highly recommend their professionalism. And they will take things exactly where you ask them to go. They are not just going to put it in the landfill. They're both very ego-minded. So they will take things exactly where you say. And if you have something that's pretty good, but you don't feel like dealing with trying to get the donation people to pick it up, they'll take it back to their warehouse and they'll find a needy family. So they're very, very good company. So there's 4 areas that you're going to always have ready to go. 4 boxes, bins, bags, whatever. Keep, toss, sell, and donate. You can see I'm a little excited about the tossing and the donating. I don't know. Let's talk about keeping first. Establishing value to your stuff. Just like I said, with someone that has hoarding disorder, don't try to tell them their stuff has no value. Neither will I tell the person not suffering from that your stuff has no value, because it has value to you. At one point, you bought it or you received it, it felt good to get it. It is not my place, or anyone else's place, frankly, to tell you that it does not have value. If you tell me you bought that at Hoffman's recently, I will say that's not true. But if you tell me you bought it at Hoffman's 20 years ago, it was the best dining room table you've ever had, and you just can't get rid of it, by all means, there's no reason to get rid of it. It has that value to you. It has that sentimentality, and maybe you served over 5,000 meals at that table, and it makes you feel good. So why am I going to argue with you about that table? I'm not. So establishing value is very important. Whether it has financial value or emotional value matters not. It just matters that it has value to you. So really examining something when you're holding it in your hand. What does this mean to me? Am I keeping it because I should? Am I keeping it because my mom gave it to me, and sometimes when she visits, she looks for it? What's happened to me? I'm like, I don't know. I think one of the kids borrowed it. It's kind of rough to work around that one, isn't it? Yeah. Defining how often you use something really determines on where it goes. So how often you use something, for me, I'm 5 feet tall. If I'm using something all the time, I always put, when I organize everything between my chin and my hips, I don't want to be getting a ladder or a step ladder every time I need something that I use all the time, nor do I want to be laying on my stomach to try to find something in a cabinet. So I put everything I use all the time, very handy, very handy. And then when I organize offices, I make sure I have active information and passive information. That active information should be the stuff around you all the time, at your desk, at your workstation, if you work out of your kitchen, and you have a command center, you should always have that stuff handy, right in your reach. And then stuff you don't need very often, sure, it goes up, it goes back. But a lot of people don't live that way. They put it in the kitchen because that's where it should go. But if you're not using it in the kitchen, just push it somewhere else and then pull it out once a year for holidays. Assigning an identified space. If, we grew up, a lot of us heard, the place for everything and everything in its place. We heard it all the time. Put it back, put it back. I was constantly hearing my mother saying, put it back. And I grew up in a very strict household of putting it back. And there were some consequences for not putting your stuff away. So I was kind of brainwashed / trained as a kid to put my things away, or I'd have to do lots of chores. There were just consequences to not keeping a neat space. So giving everything a home is really important because your consequences may not be, you can't get the car this weekend, or you can't go out with your friend Sally tonight. Sorry. That might not be your consequence. Your consequence is piles. Your consequence is future decisions. Barbara Hemphill, who wrote Taming the Paper Tiger, is one of our industry champions and pioneers. And she started her company maybe 30 years ago. If you look in your local library here, you're going to find a book called Taming the Paper Tiger. She's an incredible writer and really helps with organizing paper. And it really has a paper problem, so it's a good book. It's gone through several revisions, but she is most known for one thing, and it's her trademark sentence: clutter is just postponed decisions. It's so true. It's just postponed decisions. If you think about it, the reason why there's a pile of paper there is because you haven't decided what to do with the paper. If there's a bunch of shoes in your closet that's in the way back, and you don't use them very often, or they're up high or they're very low, there's a good chance you just haven't decided what to do with those things yet.
What's her name again?
Barbara Hemphill. Hemphill. So it's a very powerful phrase, besides my mother saying, put it away, put it away. I want you to also hear, clutter is just postponed decision. And that phrase might help you to decide that. So let's talk about tossing and recycling. This is my daughter, Mary. She's putting those plastic bags in the recycling at Giant Eagle. And it's very hard, I think, to not suffer these days from what I call green fatigue. Green fatigue is that feeling like I've just taken my saline solution out of the cardboard box that it came in for my contacts, and I'm about to put it in the garbage, and I go, no, it's recyclable. But I'm up in my upstairs bathroom, and I don't have a recycling container up here. Maybe just this one. No, I can't. I gotta take it downstairs, and I gotta recycle it. And we do this with almost everything now. And there's people of a certain generation in this crowd that said, I've always lived like that. I've always taken care of the planet. I've always used every bit of everything I could use. The only danger in that is we don't set up systems to manage the outflow. And so now we have bags and bags and bags and bags. We have stacks and stacks and stacks. We have cardboard boxes filled with good intentions, and it's littering up our spaces. So part of that process of use is getting rid of, just like any project. And I often compare organizing to cooking and eating a meal. You get your tools out, you cook the meal, you maybe clean as you go, maybe you don't, doesn't matter to me. But as long as you clean up afterwards and you put everything away, your dishes, so that the next time you go get the dish, it's in the spot you put it in. Otherwise, you're going to have stuff everywhere. So whenever you're kind of organizing, I really want you to start thinking about it like very basic meal prep, cooking, eating, cleaning up, putting away. It's the whole thing. I'm going to give you a couple of resources in Pittsburgh right now. Also on our website, if you go to our website, discoverorganizing.com, Nathan has just for the weekend, he has set up a box that you can sign up for our newsletter. You won't get the newsletter. What I'm going to do is send you our 8-page local resource guide to Pittsburgh. It's just so that we can capture your emails. I thought sending around a sign-up sheet would be a little silly with 150 people. So if you just want to sign up, we'll get you this resource guide. It has phone numbers, websites, hours of operation of all of these places. So recycling at Construction Junction. I want to talk a little bit about weird stuff. Like light bulbs, batteries. Let's say you find an old wheelchair. You were taking care of a parent, and now you have this wheelchair, and you're like, ooh, I don't know what to do with it. Well, Global Links is a really wonderful resource in Pittsburgh that takes used durable medical equipment and it sends it to third world countries all over the world. The nice thing about Construction Junction is they're a one-stop shop because you can take your stuff for Global Links to Construction Junction along with all your other stuff, your Freon, your batteries, your light bulbs, all the stuff. They have all the instructions on their website. But Construction Junction, just go out there on a Saturday, drop off your stuff, no questions asked, really. It's one of the best places you can go to get rid of odd, weird things that you all are just kind of gathering, and you don't want to get rid of it just yet because you want to make sure it's going to the right place. And this is one of the reasons we have Clutter, right? It's because we want to make sure the stuff that we're collecting and recycling is going to go to the right place. Does anybody here have VHS tapes? Okay, and you're like, what do you do? I don't want to throw them away, they're plastic. But they're not all plastic, they have this ribbon inside. And then it's got the weird inky stuff. And then I don't know what to do, and it's got this adhesive label that says, you know, Star Trek, you know, whatever. And I was recording it for my kid, I didn't want it. They're talking about streaming, I don't know. I have all these VHS tapes, okay? Now, this place is a little bit of a drive, but if you're hardcore, I think it's out in Export, or Exton? It's by Greensburg, whatever thank you. And so if you have tapes, just call ahead, it's called eLoop. And the eLoop is also a part of Construction Junction, but they don't take VHS, okay, over there. They have very specific things they take, like computer peripherals, TVs, and other sorts of electronic goodies and wires and things like that. But very specifically, call ahead at the eLoop. They're open during regular business hours, just call ahead. And remember, with all these things I'm telling you for electronics, sometimes there's a fee to do this. I'm sure in Peters Township you've experienced, you know, if you've taken stuff on their amnesty days and things like that, there's some fees for recycling, because it really helps defray the cost of whatever they need to do. Selling. You know, value is in the eye of the beholder. It's also in the eye of the marketplace. So this is hard because we work with an auctioneer when we see beautiful things, and we always go, you could try to sell it, but we all kind of know, and our whole team knows, that you might get $18 for that Hummel. If you're lucky, you might get $5. And it's heartbreaking for us because people have spent generations collecting these things and passing them down. So when I hear that, I say, keep it, because it clearly means more to you than it will to the marketplace. Don't get rid of it because you need quick cash, is what I'm trying to say. There are things that sell very well. You just have to keep your eye out for them. The best way you can tell if your item will sell or not on eBay or any auction site, you actually go to eBay, and when you go to eBay, let's see if I can do it with you. If I can. Maybe I'll do it with you, so you can see. There is a place for you, okay, it says to sell. Go back. Just say, See all these listings for the Hummels? People are watching them, they're listing, these are the prices. But over here is completed sales and sold items. Did you see what I checked? Completed, it was on the left-hand side. I'll go back because I want everybody to see this. I'm going to put my mouse there. Completed items and sold items. Here we go. Sold. Because completed doesn't mean sold. It just means the sale's over. Some of these prices are pretty low. $4, $11, $8. And you can see that this rare vintage gold Germany Hummel, the Holy Child, is something that everybody was looking for. You can see that it got all the way up to $45. So if you go onto eBay and look for your item, this is a very good reality check. That helps. Consignment stores, online auctions, and estate sales are the best three ways, right? The most common ways to get rid of things. Consignment stores are a little bit different than resale. Consignment is 50% goes to you, 50% goes to the store. You sign an agreement, you make an appointment, you drop things off as you go. They have limits to what you can drop off, and they have the ability to mark things down as time goes by if it's not selling, so they can move it out of their store. And then they have an agreement with you whether or not they can donate it or give it back to you. You can choose that. That's all in your contract. Just make sure you go over that contract. There's been a lot of tears I've wiped up on my clients that didn't know that, and they wanted it back because they wanted to give it to a relative, and they did not give it back. Estate sales, they're a little tricky because estate sales, even though I'm still a fan, just a little fan of estate sales, is that they have minimums, typically anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 that your stuff has to sell, or you have to pay them, right? Is anybody here experienced an estate sale? Okay, so they come into your home and you basically leave everything the way it is, and they tag and they sort and they do the work, which is nice. And then they hold the sale, but they also don't sell everything. So you have to then not look as they take it away in a dump truck, and they will dispose of it in the way that they see fit, and you basically say, I'm done with everything here, and you're kind of washing your hands of it when you hire an estate company. I do work with a few estate sale companies that I trust. That's on our resource list, that if you ask for it, we'll send that to you. But it's the most popular thing that we're doing right now is online auctions. We work with a company called Auction Your Possessions Today. I would take the time to go there, but I don't have time. But if you go to Auction Your Possessions Today or ayptoday.com, you'll see some recent auctions and some things that have sold. One of my best stories is I was working in Upper St. Clair, and there was this cabinet called a Hoosier cabinet. You guys know what a Hoosier cabinet is. And inside the Hoosier cabinet were these little drawers. And the woman said she was moving to Philadelphia, and she goes, Joe, you know, these are just these little stupid political pins. I don't know why my husband collected them. I don't know why he did this, and he had passed, and that's why she was moving. She wouldn't be in the house anymore. It's a huge house. And I said, well, let me just set these aside. She was just pitch them. I said, let me just set them aside. They might have value, right? One pin sold for $16,000. And it was this big, okay? This big. And she was just going to put them all into a white kitchen garbage bag and seal it up and put it out for the trash. And I said, and then she even said, maybe because they're metal, we should recycle them. And I'm like, that's a really great point, but let me have Doug take a look at them first. And he came in and he was like, oh my God. He was so excited because it was amazing. And that was just one pin. There were 1,000 pins. Now, I'm not saying they all sold for $16 each. Each one had different values, but they all sold. And they all sold individually. So it's Yeah, and I think one sold for $24.5. If you look on their website, they might have that on story, because that was a big one. And it's a picture of me with the owner. We were cleaning out a house in Squirrel Hill. That's Doug. He's a very nice man. So donating is your next thing. Well, this one's one of my favorites. The IRS, why would I not say this is one of your favorites? I will tell you that the IRS has extremely good information. Unfortunately, I made all of my team read this lovely publication, 561. When I handed it to them, they said, oh, thanks. Because I needed them to read it because they needed to know, to be educated on what is donatable and what's, you know, what is the limits financially that you can claim. And that's all very important to know, okay? So publication 561. You can download it, it's free, and it gives you your limits. Okay, 561. IRS.gov. All right, techniques for large spaces. This is actually in Peters Township. We did this last summer. The before picture is just stuff everywhere. So, but I will just say there's going to be some elements that you're going to see. You see that I hang things on walls. You'll see that I use labels. I use bins. I like to clear space so that a car can actually, you know, go in the garage. You're going to need essentials such as bins. You can see there's my daughter Mary working on sorting out some winter shoes that she found. And Joey is hanging a garage system by Rubbermaid. You're going to need bins like we talked about, Sharpies. You want to always have that donation box handy. I always say use cardboard because it can be recycled. And then use a trash bag for trash. You know, just use it for trash, and that way it's very clear that that is that. So you don't mix. Because I've done jobs where people are like, oh, I was putting that in the donation bag. Oh, it's trash. Oh, and they mix it together. We don't want that. And this technique is on your tip sheet. Now, the tip sheet that I gave you is very important because it's basically my entire presentation in writing, but it's just all the top tips of things to do and things not to do when you're organizing. And one of the biggest tips I will give you is working left to right, top to bottom in these big spaces, because you always want to gather your supplies. You know, first, like I said, you always want to set the timer. This is in your tip sheet. Always set the timer. Touch the items and sort. There's a technique on your tip sheet called Ohio. Only handle it once. Once you pick it up, you have to decide about it. So I see a lot of clients always go, oh, I'm not touching it because you're going to make me make a decision. And I'm like, no, I'll hold it for you. And they're like, no. I know you're going to make me get rid of it. I'm like, no, I just want you to make a decision about it. So touch the items and sort them into your keep, toss, sell, or donate. And then take it home when you're done. When I say home, either put it in your home, take it to your donation, your recycling site, or wherever, take it to the curb, whatever it is, that's taking it home. Some closet tips, okay? Closets they're hard. I'm going to do a walk-in closet because that's a little easier for me to explain. Shelves can often look like the picture on the left because you're stacking things. I've done it, and I stack things, and I'm short, so I'm like trying to get the one thing out, and it's a big pile of clothes, and I'm trying to pull, and then it all comes down on my head, and then I have to leave anyway. It's crazy. So one thing I started using with my clients and things I start using in my own home are, I got these at Target. They're very simple cubes, but you can stack within them, and you can take them down and work in them. So I don't care how you stack, if you want to just make a pile like that, or if you want to hold them like these. If you want to just keep them up so you don't see the insides, that's fine. Just bring it down, work it, get your sweatshirt, get your turtleneck, get your jeans, whatever it is you have, fold it up in there, and then, what does my mom say? Put it back. Okay? Put it back. So you're just gonna work vertically and horizontally, but you're also gonna work very visually in this closet. Clearly this woman, who's a full-time nurse, needed to see everything. And how do we work within that? So we created boundaries, we created containers. I have labels, it's hard to see them. They are here. Because if she forgets where it goes, and she did have someone that came in once a week and helped her with laundry, because she was a traveling nurse for legal expert witness, and she was gone a lot, and so when the person would put away her clothes, now the person knows where to put away her clothes. So this works with spouses, this works with kids, it doesn't just work with laundresses. Another closet, I'm sorry it's so dark, but actually the closet was very dark. I did not have any lighting in this closet when I walked in. Big problem. So I installed, these are 2 bookshelves right here. Cubey bookshelves, you know, like from Target, they're just cubes. They're just 2 bookshelves, and I put them back to back so that I could put her packing supplies, her toiletries, anything that she was always using. I threw her suitcase up on here, so when she came home, she can unpack and pack without bending over. And then she could replenish her shampoos, replenish her whatever it is. And by the way, I was only there for 1 day. I did all this in 1 day. By myself. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. So again, there's another angle of those bookshelves and of the shelves themselves. She had some good bones in that closet. I'm a big shelf fan. Using shelves and using hooks are critical. It keeps a lot of clothes off your bed, it keeps clothes off your chairs, it just keeps clothes off the floor. A hook is so easy. It's just so easy, and a lot of people don't use them. If you're not handy, then just get some 3M command strip hooks. Some of them are very beautiful now. They're silver, they're polished nickel. They work. I put them on every back of every door of my bathrooms in my house for robes and towels and whatnot. Has anybody here ever been to New York City? Not Buffalo, New York City, okay. All right, so if you go into any New York apartment or you go into a hotel, they're usually kind of tiny spaces because they have to maximize space. And this is an example of a kind of a New York apartment that I was in, and it just really maximized space. I loved it because they used a cabinet for their sink, which is critical to put stuff in, like toilet paper, paper towels, and cleaners. And then they were saying, you know what? I don't care if people see it or not. I'm going to put my stuff in a basket. This is how I roll. I have all my towels in here. So it's really interesting. Everybody has their different ways of doing things, but they really used that wall to its most potential. And you can do that too. There's very attractive ways, as you can see, that to do that. This is an example of a custom closet. You can get these anywhere in the city of Pittsburgh. California Closets. The Container Store has a whole closet division. There's so many great closet companies here in Pittsburgh. They're all good. There's anyone that I've found that has given my clients a negative experience. These are essentials for organizing. I don't go anywhere without these in my car, ever, because a lot of people don't have these, and they're very simple purchases that you can make at Bed Bath & Beyond, the Container Store. And I like that they're all clear, except for these. These are just drawer dividers, but these can also go in medicine cabinets. They can go in laundry and linen closets. I love the clear, because if you don't want to label, at least you can see. Okay? And I keep these in my, the design to the right there, I keep those in my refrigerator. And people that have been to my home in the back of the room, my friends, they have seen my apartment and they know I use these things prolifically. I love them. I put them in my linen closets for shampoos, extra soaps, all that good personal care stuff. I can see it. And I can pull it down, work in it, and put it back up. When you have loose things all over the place, it's not good. Does anybody here have wire shelving that drives them crazy? Wire shelving, yeah. So there's a thing that you can get at the Container Store that you just lay flat, it's clear, and nothing will fall through, and then you won't have lines on your clothing if you have a wire shelf too. I use them in pantries, or you can simply cut a piece of cardboard and put that down. Shelves are my best friend, and are these white bins are called Ultra bins. They're made by Sterilite. I keep them with me in my car too, along with my friend Mr. Sharpie. And I put all sorts of stuff in those bins. I use them for under sinks and cabinets and pantries. It's a nice uniform look, and they're plastic, and they're very durable, and you can rinse and scrub them out if something leaks, like oil or balsamic vinegar or something like that. But I love shelves, and what you can't see in this picture is that there is a set of wheels on the bottom of these shelves. I don't really like to put shelves in place without wheels on them, or casters, because I like to clean behind things, but also if I need to rearrange something, I want to be able to do that. I want to have flexibility. I don't want to be stuck in one place and in one configuration. This is one of the things that I will tell my clients, and my clients have told me, all that clutter used to be money. And it can be money again, or it can mean something for someone else. I'm big on labels. A lot of people are very worried about organizing wires. But how many people have moved some things around to paint, and then you go to plug everything back in and you say a very bad word because you realize you don't know what goes to what anymore, and then you have to call somebody over to help you, and I don't know what all these wires are, blah, blah, blah. Well, as you unplug them, you're all capable of marking what came from what, and that's me. Obviously it's me, but I'm doing a whole computer system at a pharmacy because they were redoing their pharmacy. That was a job because we had to pack narcotics with police. We had to do all this stuff. It was a crazy, crazy job, but hey, anybody that can organize prescriptions, I guess it's us. We had to unplug when they said, okay, we're going to need all these computers moved. There's 7 computers, 6 printers. I went, that's okay. And they're like, you're not worried? We're worried. I'm like, no, because you just label computer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1A, 1B, 1B, you know, everything matched, and it took 5 minutes to put them back together. You're like, huh? And I'm like, labels. They're amazing. So if you have too many photos, I'm going to touch on this quickly. We have something called the ABC method. The ABC method is very simple. When you're looking at pictures, and you can use this with clutter too. Okay, so this is a good little thing. It's not on your handout. A means these are pictures you absolutely want to display, that you love, that means so much to you. These are what I call refrigerator pictures, or pictures that you have in frames, or pictures that you've taken time to put in albums that you love. Those are your A pictures. So you can translate that to your possessions if you'd like. B pictures are the pictures that you're a little nervous about getting rid of. Maybe it was a little dark, but it's the only picture you have of Uncle Ray. But you can still see him, but you don't necessarily want to frame it. But nobody else has a picture of Uncle Ray except you. So that's a B picture. Okay? Gives you an example. And in your possessions, you can translate that to, I'm going to see if I like these sweaters. I'm going to see if I wear them over the next season. And if I don't, grab them. Okay. Then I'm going to put them in the C pile, which is the goodbye pile. C pictures are blurry. They're dark. They can't be figured out. There are 40 sunsets you took in Hawaii that you could easily find on Google, and there's no Uncle Ray in any single one of those sunsets. So they're not personal. You took a picture of a coconut. That's okay. It was really intriguing at the time, but maybe the coconut doesn't hold any emotional value anymore. Unless, of course, you need to look at coconuts, which that's okay with me. But you see the point is that you have A, B, C. You have A, I love it, I love it, I love it. B, I'm a little worried about getting rid of it. It might be its only copy, whatever it is. I'm not quite ready. And C is goodbye. And maybe that will help you guys. This is an example of a photo project we actually did. We organized memorabilia in the top box, and in the bottom 6 boxes we had themed photographs. And then inside each box we labeled everything by year. I strongly recommend if you're working with photos to organize things by chronological or by person. Sometimes that helps. So next thing we're going to talk about is memorabilia. You know how you find stuff in boxes? Little stuff like I found my dad's baby shoes, and I found some pictures, and I found some stuff. I had no idea why I ended up with my dad's baby shoes or his pins from the Boy Scout Jamboree. But I decided to do something about it this Christmas. Eighth grade prom, he just said. So I can't do the whole thing so I don't cry. But making something out of stuff is a good thing. Self-explanatory. Shelves, cubes, up, not sitting out and down that you have there. See a very simple change here? You just see a very subtle and slight change to create space for things. The things on top of that dryer, she was going to mend. It was her mending time. So guess what? Now she's got a mending basket. She doesn't have to look at it. When she's ready to mend it, she's not going to see that as work. She's going to see that as something to do later, but she knows where it is. And that's okay. You don't have to do everything right away. But as long as you know where it is. Oh boy, paper. Paper, paper, paper. So this is real. I mean, this picture is real. There's wires, there's cords, there's stuff we just stack on a shelf. But honestly, this goes to the same thing. Working left to right, top to bottom, setting your timer, only handling a little bit at one time. My other tip to handling paper is do not handle the paper where you find it. Go take it to a dining room table that's always cleaned off. Go take it to your happy place. Maybe it's a TV room that you always keep clean because it's a common room and you like to receive guests there. Wherever that is, go to that nice place in your home and sit there with just a little bit. Do not say, I'm going to do this whole room today. I'm going to do this whole closet today. Because then what do we talk about? You're changing the Brita filter, and you're going to Bed Bath, and then you're going Kathy, and you're going to have lunch, and you're going to, your life, guys. You have your life. That's why all this stuff happens, is because you're living your life. You're caring for people. We have people in this room right now that are caring for a parent that's aging. You're caring for a spouse that may be ill. You're caring for kids. You may have kids in college. You may be running kids to soccer games, grandchildren, whatever it is. You're living your life. So if you set the timer and just chip away at this, you can do it. You can totally do it. Just like a new thing. I'm going to start going to the gym. I'm going to start eating healthier. Well, you don't go to the gym for 8 hours and bust a move. I mean, you go to the gym for like 30 to 45 minutes your first time. Figure out what the equipment is. What the heck does this do? What? I'm supposed to pull it over my head? What do I do? Same thing with organizing. Chip away. But just make it part of your day. Make it part of your life. There's 3 big no-nos. Post-it notes. I'm going to go to Bed Bath right now and get all the stuff I need, is the second one. I'm just going to get everything. And then the third one is distractions. Okay, so if you can eliminate those 3 things, you're good. So your 3 big yeses are checklists.
Excuse me, can you go back and just repeat that?
Sure. Post-it notes are bad because they kind of, we forget that they're there and they kind of curl up and they become clutter, but they also just, like a bulletin board that has your workers' comp policy on it from 1976 that we keep walking past, and the safety poster from 1982. We just keep walking. That bulletin board effect, I call it, happens with Post-it notes. So they're not the greatest tool unless you want to put one on my car window that says, "Great job today, Jill." That's okay. And then shopping, you get so excited, I'm going to go get all my stuff, and you go to the container store and you go crazy, and you come home with a bunch of bins. They're so pretty, so pretty. But, and I love going there, by the way, but I have a plan and I have a shopping list, just like a menu for food that I'm going to cook, because I always compare cooking to organizing. If I have a menu, then I have a recipe, and then the recipe has ingredients. And the ingredients are your bins and your baskets. So you're thinking, you're planning ahead. And the third thing was start with distractions. So checklists, using the right tools, which are, I always say professional organizers, but I might be biased, to go to the container store for you, and then a timer. This particular timer is called the time timer. Speaking of time, we're almost done. Maintenance. I loved this television show. What was it called? One Day at a Time? So that was Schneider. And I chose Schneider because he always made me laugh. He was also very annoying. But maintenance is annoying, isn't it? When you have to maintain something because it's broken. And I will just say this to you all. It's so easy. It is so easy to not maintain. It's just so easy to do it once. And then, oh look, what a good job I did. But then life happens, and then you buy more groceries, or you buy more clothes, and you're not maintaining. You're not saying, well, I bought 5 sweaters, because I hated the ones I had, but yet I'm still keeping the 5 sweaters that I had. Why am I doing that? And I could sit here and give you a bunch of rules, like 1 in, 1 out. But in reality, that's not how it works. Because everything breaks from time to time. You have to take care of somebody, you have to go handle something. Some of you are working, that's a full-time job, plus caring for families, caring for your lives, paying your bills, interruptions. There's a wedding this weekend. Oh, I got to do that. I got to prepare. Whatever it is, maintenance is hard. It's hard. And those of you that have gone on a weight loss program and you lost 30 pounds and you feel amazing, and you're like, how did I get those weight pounds back? Well, you didn't maintain, and that's okay because we all are human, and it's very hard to maintain. But if you want to get away from Schneider, the best thing to do is to just build in those little changes, just those little tiny things that you do each day. Could be something very small that you decide to do, like open your mail in front of a recycling bin instead of where you always did it, so that everything ends up where it's supposed to go. Maybe it's getting hooks and just hanging your stuff on hooks. Maybe the little things, I'm just going to try this for a couple of weeks and gradually lose the weight, gradually eat better, gradually get more organized. I'm not a big fan of the blitz. If you need the blitz, we got 22 people over at Discover Organizing in Bridgeville that can help you with the blitz. But what we're trying to do is teach you and transfer skills to you so that you can do it on your own. We always try to work our way out of a job because we want you to be strong on your own. The best gift you can give yourself, I said this in the PG article that brought some of you here today, the best gift you can give yourself is to be prepared. And I'm not talking about for a flood or a natural disaster, although I'm a big proponent of being prepared for that too, with lots of supplies. But being prepared makes you feel so strong, doesn't it? When you are ready for whatever it is that you're about to do, and you're not like running around and you forget to take the thing out of your hair because you were just doing that real quick until you got to the place, and then you forgot to take this off or to do that, and you're running around and there's a sock stuck to the back of your sweater, and you're going up for communion. I mean, I'm not saying that's happened to me, but it's with a dryer sheet and 150, 200 people saw it. But you can be prepared. There's things that happen like that, and then there's things that you can prepare for, like being on time for lunch means you have to stop doing whatever you were doing 15 minutes before. Tiny little changes make a huge difference. Organizing can be fun. We do have a lot of fun at work when we're all together. This is a professional kick line. Great professional organizers. There's actually labeling bins and boxes. We listen to music whenever we can. We are here to help you. We have Sandy. Do you want to stand up and show your sign real quick? Organizing. We have Carrie over there with downsizing. And Ashley's going to stand up with her sign. She's very tall. You can't miss her. It says photo. So any of those specific areas you have questions, please let me know. But it has been my pleasure to talk to you today, and I appreciate you coming out. Thank you.